Stop journaling. Not metaphorically, literally. Stop sitting there, writing about your feelings, expecting your life to magically just update itself. It won't. You're not the genie. You're not Robin Williams, although I really wish I was. So you need to start debugging. Your life doesn't change because you just magically vent in a notebook. It changes when you audit your behavior, your patterns, your blind spots, and the systems holding your life together right now with Duct. And so if you've ever sat there journaling and you thought, what am I even doing? Why am I still stuck? Why the hell is nothing changing in my life right now? If that's ever crossed your mind, good. That is the literal figurative little crack in the door, okay? And obviously, yeah, there's a reason for that. And obviously, yeah, there's a reason for that. And it's not because you're like just magically self-aware. It's because you're not self-diagnosed. So journaling is emotional venting. Debugging is an operational excavation. Okay, one makes you feel productive. The other actually changes the architecture running your life. So most people do not need more feeling. They need a system, an OS, a backend, a diagnostics, a way to understand themselves like operators, not like motivational quote. So the reason I made this video is because I run quarterly and monthly things. Like I don't journal, I don't manifest, I don't write emotional dumps about my inner child. I run quarterly and monthly operating audits that expose my blind spots with absolute surgical precision. These audits scan everything from my communication patterns, my emotional contracts, my execution leaks, my repeating behavior loops, the stuff journaling never touches. And in essence, it's like free therapy because I don't really like that either. But these are questions to not soothe you, okay? They're going to hit harder than therapy because they're not trying to just make you feel better. They're diagnosed to expose you and kind of make you feel like crap, but that's what's going to make you open your eyes. So in this video, I'm going to be giving you everything. The 10 questions that will break your freaking brain. The monthly operator audit, that's hard to say. The quarterly communication analysis, and the exact system that I use to rewrite my really messed up operating system. And so with that, if you have ADHD or ADHD, this is even more important. Because our brains isn't built for vague introspective therapy. It's built for patterns, clarity, and structure. And these questions rebuild your OS so you can actually function, not just cope. So before I show you the system, all right, I need you to understand why most self-improvement fails, okay? Especially for high performance, pattern driven. So most self-improvement tools are emotional. Operators don't necessarily have like emotional problems. We have operational problems. We don't have emotional problems. So other people want to feel better. We want to function better. That's entirely different category. All right. Journaling feels productive because it follows the same loop every single time. I vent, then dump emotions, then I get a little bit of a dopamine hit, but nothing changes. Your backend, your OS stays exactly the frickin' same. So that's why your communication patterns don't change at all. Okay. So your blind spots don't change. Your execution leaks don't change. Your identity scripts don't change. Your operating systems remain untouched. So here's the real issue. Most people reflect like humans. Operators should, at least, in my opinion, reflect like systems. So most humans ask, how do I feel? Or why did this upset me? Operators should ask, what pattern created this? Where's the leak? What system allowed this problem to actually exist even in the first place? And then you can reverse engineer it. Doesn't happen again. Journaling is somewhat introspective. Debugging is diagnostic. So if you're wired anything like me, an entrepreneur, probably likely watching this, okay, you're analytical, you're pattern oriented, and vague questions do nothing. You need structure and clarity. So with vague questions, that doesn't move your life forward. All right. You need structure, logic, clarity. Your brain responds to operational truth, not emotional rambling, even though I'm pretty freaking good at that. So now let's get into the actual system. Okay. How are you going to rebuild your OS? These are the questions and audits that you're going to start doing that is going to rebuild your operating system from the inside out. Good movie. I didn't like the second one though. So first, these are the 10 questions that break me apart every single quarter. And no, it's not emotional. It's structural, okay? They're not supposed to comfort you. They're supposed to expose the architecture you've been running on autopilot for years or months or days or weeks, whatever. Question numero uno, okay? What am I doing? Because it's familiar, not because it's effective. What this is going to do is expose the autopilot loops like your habits, your coping strategies, your default choices that you never intentionally selected. Most people live inside these patterns that they've inherited. Operators should audit these patterns and fix it. Question 2, what am I pretending not to know? This question hurts because it calls out the lies that you tell yourself, the situations that you can tolerate, the conversations you postpone. If you answer this honestly, your life shifts If you answer this honestly, your life will shift in 24 hours. Question 3. Where am I rewarding myself for the wrong things? Operators don't reward effort, they reward outcomes. Most people celebrate motion instead of progressing, right? And they vent instead of fixing, journaling instead of deciding. Question 4. What am I avoiding because I don't like who I have to become or who I have to become? Growth isn't new habits. Growth is killing a version of yourself. Most goals require identity death. Most people aren't willing to do it, but operators and entrepreneurs that want to scale will. Question 5. Where am I creating unnecessary complexity to feel in control? Now, hi, AUDHD brain here, and this does it constantly. We turn simple tasks into architectural projects because complexity feels our safe zone. But complexity is also where execution dies, especially if you're trying to delegate it to someone else. Question number 6. What conversations am I avoiding because they require clarity, not comfort? Most breakdowns in life aren't emotional. They're communication freaking breakdowns. And so if you avoid the clarity, that will avoid and not create the chaos. Question 7. Where am I outgrowing my environment by staying here anyways? You cannot upgrade your operating system while living inside old, outdated hardware. So if your environment contradicts your identity, your behavior will contradict your goals, whatever that is. Number 8. What do I keep saying that I want, but my actions never reflect it? This exposes your fakes or your false goals, your fake priorities, your identity mismatch, and the little self-betrayals that drain your momentum and energy. Number 9, what am I doing that drains me? And why do I still do it? Energy leaks, and that kills execution. Sometimes the leak is a habit, sometimes it's a person, sometimes it's a responsibility that you just forget to unsubscribe from, and this will identify it. Number 10, if nothing changed in my life for 12 months, what would I regret? Not your goals, your regrets. Regret is the closest thing humans have to undeniable truth. These questions will not soothe you, okay? They will expose you. You don't need to share it with the world, okay? But that's is why they work. They interrupt the identity that is running your life and somewhat ruining your life by default. So the 10 questions break open your OS. The monthly operator audit rebuilds. So now we're going to go into the monthly operating OS. Every month, I ask myself, where did I avoid decisions? What friction slowed me down? What system broke under pressure? What did I overcomplicate, which is everything? What did I tolerate that I shouldn't have? And this is a backend introspective, not emotional. Okay. So, and then from there, what expectations did I not clarify well enough? Where did I self-sabotage through delay? What data did I ignore? What behavior loop repeated this month that I should fix? And was I the operator or was I the passenger? That question alone will ruin you, but also help you rebuild you. Lastly, the quarterly, I run the communication analysis. This is where operators capture 90% of their blinds. That helps me so much. So I break down, because I'm autistic, every conflict, not emotionally, but structurally. What did I do to create that pattern or amplify the pattern? What tone did I use versus what the situation required? Where did I over-explain or under-explain? And were my expectations actually understood? Or did I just assume that they were? Because I do that a lot, all right? Then I look at every time someone disappointed me. What hidden expectation did I create? Where did I break my own standards to avoid discomfort? Where was I indirect when directness was required? And where did I speak when I should have listened? Where did I listen when I should have? Boundaries. Finally, question 8 in this section will change your life. Where was I indirect? Oh, that's the wrong. So now let's talk about how you actually turn all of these audits into an operating system that rewrites your identity level change, because insight without implementation is just pretty much if you're like me and you're an operator, we don't want entertainment, we want actual transformation and results. So you want to turn every insight into an ROO. So when I uncover a pattern, I don't say, interesting, I should stop doing that. That's journaling energy, right? Operators codify new behavior so every insight becomes a rule of operation. So now you're probably, what am I saying? So for example, insight, I avoid decisions when I fear disappointing someone. The rule becomes, if a decision impacts me, I make it within 24 hours. That's what operational rewriting and rewiring looks like. Example number 2, insight. I soften my tone to avoid conflict. I don't. Some people do. But the rule becomes, I communicate expectation directly even when uncomfortable. I'm very good at that. And so you take the old behavior and you outlaw it. Example number 3, I reward effort, not outcome. The rule now becomes outcome over intention always. Effort is cheap. Outcomes are always more measurable. And I like the dopamine. So this is how your OS rewriting or rewiring actually begins. You turn the patterns into law. And once it becomes a law, emotion doesn't get a vote anymore. It's vetoed. Journaling asks, why did this make me feel this way? Operators ask, what system produced this outcome? Same moment, 2 interpretations. One keeps you stuck. The other one is bound to evolve you if you actually. So to replace old behavior loops, I use identity overrides. Your behavior is the byproduct of your identity. If your identity doesn't change, your habits won't either, whether you frickin' journal or not. So now, for example, if you have a pattern of avoidance, your old identity is I don't want to upset people. Your new identity, I protect future outcomes, not present comfort. Identity overrides force your future self to run in a new OS and code. Example number 2 would be pattern. You're overcomplicating shit. Old identity is your complexity equals control. New identity, I remove friction because friction kills momentum. Ah! Okay, so identity creates behavior. Behavior creates results. I really hope this is making sense. Example number 3. Your pattern. Indirect communication. Your old identity, I don't want tension. Guess what? I don't really care. Your new identity, directness saves time, money, and respect. And this alone will reclaim years of your life. So next, we have the protocols. Okay, these are pre-written steps for high-risk situations, conflict, decision-making, over-explaining, people-pleasing, emotional spiral. So you don't want to improvise when you're triggered like me, okay? You want to run a protocol, a conflict protocol. So you clarify your facts, your expectations, and then you remove friction, you remove emotion, you make the decision, you communicate directly, right? So then that's the decision protocol. You want to define the criteria, you identify the cost of delay, make the decision inside 24 hours, and this is how operators actually remove the paralysis, right, of actually making a decision. Communication protocol. State the expectation, state the boundary, confirm understanding, document everything, and this eliminates 90% of miscommunication. Finally, then we're going to install this. So every insight has to be installed into a real freaking system. So whether that's your calendar, your workflow, your environment, your CRM, your scripts for sales, your rules of operations. Insights are useless unless it becomes actual architecture. So, for example, if you discovered you avoided a decision and a daily decision window, if you found friction in your workflow, redesign your workspace. If communication leaks showed up, then rewrite your scripts and your expectation template. So journaling helps you discover your feeling, but debugging rewrites your identity. Journaling gives you stories, debugging gives you systems. And systems, not feelings, are what actually changes your freaking life. So now let me show you exactly how I rebuild my operating system every 90 days. This is the part no one shows you because most people don't actually have a freaking system, but I do. So step 1, I pull everything into one place, all right? The 10 questions, the last 3 monthly operator audits, the full quarterly communication analysis. And then I ask, what patterns keep repeating across all of it? Your life doesn't have 50 problems, okay? It has 2 or 3 patterns wearing 50 different costumes, whether you want to believe so or not. Then you identify, all right? So step 2 would be to identify the primary bug. One pattern that is clearly infecting everything else: avoidance, overcomplicating, indirect communication, emotional decision making, scoping, creeping in, unclear expectations. Fix the primary bug. Everything else is then going to downstream, properly improve. So then step 3 is decoding the route or the root logic behind that bug. I don't ask why am I like this. I ask what outdated rule in my operating system produced this stupid behavior that I need to. So things like conflicting equals danger, or harmony over clarity, effort equals worth, complex equals smart, or the classic, if I don't do everything myself, I'm not going to get it done right. Once you see that rule, it loses the power on. Step 4 is I rewrite the rule. So the old rule, keep people comfortable. The new rule, clarity over comfort. The old rule, decisions made me quickly save me. Old rule, complexity equals control. New rule, simplicity scales, complexity kills. So identity, behavior, outcome, belief. That's how rewrites work. Top to down, not bottom up. All right. So then step 5 is you architect it. If your environment contradicts your new identity, the old identity will win every time. Especially if you have ADHD, your environment is your operating system. So I remove everything that reinforces the old identity and add what reinforces the new one. Then I rebuild communication templates, because whenever your primary bug it will show up in communication. So then I rewrite, scripts or expectation templates or yes, no rules. Operators like me or like you don't rely on mood. They rely on temperature, and that's going to remove a lot of human error. So then the behavioral constraints, right? So these are the guardrails that prevent regression when life gets super chaotic. Rules like you don't delay decisions, stop softening your clarity, or over-explaining, no yeses without an actual scope confirmed, no emotional requests without standards. You need your constraints to keep the OS stable. You can't have everything fluctuate. Then I rebuild the execution loop. I have the morning operator loop, the weekly alignment, the pipeline audit loop, the monthly OS check-in, the quarterly communication review, These loops reinforce the identity. Repetition makes it permanent, and you can look at the data and change it. And structure makes it stable. So number 7, or whatever step this is, I declare a 90-day identity. In one sentence, I am the person who blanks. For example, I am the person who chooses clarity over comfort. I am the person who simplifies everything. I am the person who makes decisions fast. I am going to communicate like an operator. Okay, that line becomes the operating code for you for the next 90 days. So this isn't like a woo-woo, all right? Journaling doesn't rebuild the identity. Debugging does. Therapy doesn't rewrite your operating system. Auditing does. You're not a personality. You're a system, whether you want to admit it or not. It's intake, outtake, input, output. And all systems can and should be rebuilt. So if you want the exact 10 questions, the operator, the community, basically everything that we went over, the whole thing, I'll send you the whole thing. Just drop a comment, send me a message, whatever it is. My prompter is going too fast for these slides, or you could use the link below if I remember to put that there. Just use the systems. That's all I'm asking. Use the systems that have helped me fix everything in my life and business. I mean, I kind of like combine the two, but maybe whatever. And while you're here, okay, maybe hit like and subscribe, because this stuff takes a lot of time to build, and it helps push out to more people who would benefit from this, like operators. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Stop journaling, start debugging. And if you like this video, click the next one on the screen, because YouTube thinks you'll like that. I'll see you in the next one. You want help, whatever.